Good afternoon. Welcome back to United TV. Latest Manchester United news, latest Manchester United fan opinions as well. We'll be looking at the breaking stories. We're going to be covering Ederson, his medical situation. We're going to be looking at Manchester United's new target potentially in ANDREY Santos. Is that a good deal? Does it make sense? And we're going to be recapping a little bit on. I'm pretty tired today because I stayed up till about 4:30 in the morning watching an absolutely crazy game in the Azteca Stadium. Mexico 2, England 3. Absolutely crazy match, but really good result for England and very good performance. Lots of positives to take out of that game. England versus Norway next weekend is going to be a fantastic game. Can they stop Haaland? I don't know. That's going to be a difficult one. But again, the World Cup is starting to get a bit interesting now. I think people that watched all the group games, that was probably too much football for most people. But we're getting, and again, if you stayed up late and you saw the Harry Kane interview, I did share the Harry Kane interview on the Discord on the channel because I thought it was quite funny. I don't know what what happened to his voice. I don't know whether altitude plays a factor in that, but it was quite amusing as well. Also, if you're able to share the stream, please share the stream. It does always help as well. And before we go into it, welcome Nights I Die, welcome Jim, Yarley, Berber in the chat as well. Hope all your legends are good. Also, good to see you, Stephanie, in the chat, and Bilal. And again, I think if you stayed up late last night, maybe I'm gonna crash quite badly later on. I say England must stop Norway. I need sleep. No more fireworks at 2 to 3 in the night. Now it's you got to be it's a one-off, isn't it? Like, this is probably I don't know much about Norwegian football in terms of World Cup credentials, but I think this is about the best that Norway have ever done, isn't it? So very, I think it's like a generational thing. I think also for England fans, Mexico just do not lose in the Azteca Stadium. I think they've got so few defeats over the years, and at high altitude, and with 10 men, somehow England found a way. But I thought 11v11. I thought England were well on top, and it was a very good performance. So, and actually, I'll say this: I have said a few things recently about Gordon going to Bayern Munich, and I said I don't see the hype in Gordon. I think Gordon put in probably the best performance that I've ever seen from Anthony Gordon. He was outstanding for the whole match. Defensive work was exceptional towards the end as well. So I think he was. Jude Bellingham got man of the match because he was an absolute monster in midfield, and I think Gordon and Pickford are probably the two people that played phenomenally well. So again, I did say in light of different opinion, I think Gordon surprised me with how well he played, and maybe England got the balance in the team right, but Kane's interview Kane's interview afterwards was so funny, so funny. But I put it in the Discord because it made me laugh this morning when I saw it again. Welcome to the United TV membership for United So Die as well. Big up to you, my friend. Hope you're good. Thank you for supporting the channel as well. Yes, so many standout players. So many standout players. Pickford, Gordon, Bellingham were for me the key ones as well. I was generally surprised that they're looking at the game last night. That Mexico were obviously dangerous opposition, but I think that there's so many players played well. And maybe the Norway game as well. I think Norway maybe surprised people against Brazil. I said at the start of the tournament that for me, the teams that are most likely to win it were always going to be Spain and France. And I think beyond that, you then look at teams, I suppose, a bit like, I don't know about Brazil, but I would say England have got to be up there in the mix. The last couple of Euros, they got to the final. And I think beyond that, that for me, Norway were always dark horses. I think Norway, when you've got someone like Haaland in the team, you're literally always going to be in and I saw the commentators during the match for Norway were getting a bit obsessed by how many touches the ball Holland has. It doesn't matter because he has about 5 touches, and two of them are goal-scoring strikes. So I think at the moment, Holland's on a phenomenal record. It's going to be a difficult one, but no, absolutely crazy, absolutely crazy. And Blas says United representatives have gone on holiday to Madrid. Do you think they're going to be actually speaking to too many? Do we think there's going to be any? The thing I will say about this, we'll jump into the Santos story in a second. Manchester United's representatives going to Madrid. The question is, do you remember about a month ago where it was Manchester United representatives going to West Ham to speak to Matheus Fernandes, get that deal thrashed out, and then we see Matheus Fernandes go to Spurs. I think there's a lot of YouTube channels getting very, very excited about too many. The problem is too many wants to stay in Real Madrid as far as I can see. And I think when you're looking at that situation as well, I saw something this morning saying that too many would be at least 100 million euros. And to be honest, I think he'd be at least 100 million pounds. Like too many is a world class player. If he lifts the World Cup again, I think he's going to be Anderson money. So I don't know if Man United can afford him. I think he's going to be too expensive. But also, I don't think Real Madrid want to sell him, and I don't think he wants to leave Madrid. So I can't really see. I can't really see how this deal works. But no, I don't know. We'll see. We'll probably cover too many in the next one. I think it was, yeah, it was definitely a red card though, because he just slided in dangerously. I think also the penalty for Harry Kane, I think it is a penalty as well. Modric did the same thing against us. So England playing the best. You've seen them, says Jim, and be up to you, Jim, as well for being a member of the channel for 2 months as well. I appreciate that. No, I was going to say, Yardi, it's my opinion that I think Haaland's one of the best attacking players in terms of like strikers in world football. Is you can see that he's such a problem. You could see physically he can bully people like Gabriel. I just think he's going to be. Um, I think for some reason Haaland gets a lot of disrespect from other people. I don't really understand why people. I think people don't realise that he's technically pretty good as well. That he's good in the air. He's a phenomenal goal scorer, but also he can link up play. He's got some. Has some good touches on the ball. Makes some good decisions. So I've been saying for years, I think Haaland's like the best striker in the Premier League, and it's not very close. But I think a lot of people maybe overrate Isak a little bit. I don't know. I think it's just different YouTube channels have different opinions. I think just look at the record though. If I was going to pick a player to join my team, it would be Haaland every single day. I don't think there's any other striker that's getting remotely close to him. He's got was it about 14 goals in 14 games? It's getting a bit outrageous how good Haaland is. And for me, that when people talk about stopping certain players like Mbappe, Haaland, Messi, they're probably up there on their own at the moment. And you see also Harry Kane in terms of what he's doing for England. So it's no surprise that this is the one World Cup where all the best players are pretty much delivering. You look at the Golden Boot race, it's going to be the best that's been, I think, ever in the history of the competition. I think already we got three people and 7 goals. I don't think that's ever happened in a World Cup. And Haaland, Messi, Mbappe, I think one of them's going to break double figures. It just depends who gets to the final. So I think that most of these players look like they're going to score every single match, don't they? So let me go through some of the comments as well. Be up to you as well, Rob. Good to see you in the chat. Hope you're having a good day. And I don't know how much sleep you got. I know people I saw in the watch along at about, I don't know, 4:15. I think G was probably still tucked up in bed. I struggled to sleep after the match. I don't know why. I think it was just a lot of adrenaline during the match, a lot of stress. I felt really wide awake at about 4 o'clock this morning. And then obviously I went to sleep at some point. And then I woke up, annoyingly, I woke up about, I don't know, quite early. And so I'll probably crash and hit the wall quite badly at some point. But let's go through some of the comments as well. And so this is going to be so Red Bull clips your wings. Yeah, I think the last thing I need is like a couple of cans of stimulants. No, I think I'll just naturally probably fall asleep later on today. So going on to this one, Manchester United offer expected for Santos. And what are people's initial reaction? Because for me, initial reaction was, what is going on? And I got something that maybe I'll share it when a couple of people are in the chat. But I'll just put this on screen quickly. You've seen these a few times. This just compares Santos with too many. And for me, bizarrely similar, like really bizarrely similar. And I'll just say as well, in no way am I saying these are the same players. But in terms of like winning your duels defensively, progressive passes, pass completion rates, all these sort of things that people get excited about. I think, rightly so, I think winning your duels is going to be incredibly important. Winning back possession, incredibly important. Keeping hold of possession as well once you've got it as well. All these kind of key metrics. Interestingly, Santos and Tchouaméni, very, very similar. Again, I'm not saying they're the same sort of player, but I'm saying if you're looking at reasons why, that's one of the reasons. And if you're looking at, I saw a Chelsea perspective on this as well, which is always good to get. And maybe if something progresses with this as well, I will endeavour to try and get a Chelsea fan on. I do know a few Chelsea fans, so we might be able to get a reaction from them because they're going to be watching Santos obviously a lot more than me. I don't know if you got thoughts on Santos yourselves, but the expectation for this is a price closer to 50 million. So that sort of price, again, it depends on how much Man United are going to be looking at. So JDC says, so if you this is the point where if you've got any thoughts on Santos, positive or negative, there is a poll in the chat that says, is it worth going for Santos for 50 million? Because that's the price tag that I saw initially. So that's kind of where I'm thinking regarding this one. That are Man United looking for cheaper alternatives? Is Ederson a cheaper version of Elliot Anderson? And if you look at what Ederson does in the Italian league, it's kind of similar. It wins the ball back a lot, passes a lot. You see, not necessarily a ball progressor, but I think in terms of like defensive and attacking wise, Ederson does quite a lot of things that Anderson does, but he's older. He does it in a different league. And are Man United looking for? Is this a cut? Is this a cut? What's the best way of putting it? Is this a way of trying to get the same player profiles, but just get cheaper versions? So that's what I say. I'll just put it up quickly on screen as well. So you can pause this and have a look at it if you want to go into detail. But this is too many and Santos compared, and this is both on the last season. So obviously too many playing in La Liga, Santos doing it in the Premier League. Progressive passes, possession one, duels, forward passing percentage, they're almost identical. So for me, I'm not saying that that's going to suddenly make me go, right, get Santos in. What I'm saying is Santos has got something. He's obviously very, very good at. No, you don't get 96% of your duels won without being good at duels. So these are not. This is not an anomaly. He's obviously very good at this, and I think he's gone under the radar for me 100%. Like when I first saw Santos, my first reaction was, "What are we doing here? What is going on?" But I'm just saying, if you look at that one, yeah, the minutes could be more limited, but I think that I've not seen this player profile apart from looking at too many. So I do appreciate that minutes will be limited, but the thing is, coming on the pitch and actually winning almost 100% of your duels, that it's going to be less minutes. But clearly, it's a sign that I think for Chelsea, they've got a lot of options, haven't they? They've got a lot of football players at the club, like Caicedo and Enzo, and you've got the people that are going to be first team players. And I think for someone like Santos, he's going to be a backup player. But I think, to be honest, I don't. This is one question I've got as well. If you know how much money Chelsea paid for Santos, then is this not an indication that Chelsea they need to get some money into the club? They've missed out on European football. It is a bit of a disaster, isn't it? And some of the players they bought recently, they're not going to flip Garnacho for a profit. They're not going to sell Gittins for a profit. Maybe this is one player they can flip for a profit. So 50 million, I think I'm pretty on board with 50 million, but I'm imagining based on the transfer window and based on some of the deals that Chelsea have done over the recent years, I would be genuinely surprised if it's not going to cost more. So I think this is going to be in the same sort of bracket for me as someone like Alex Scott. The first time you hear about it, it's going to seem quite cheap. It's just going to be more expensive, I think, in the future. So I'll go through some of these comments. Daz says, big up to you, Daz, as well. Thank you so much for being a member of the channel, Daz. Massively appreciated. Big up to you, legend, Daz. I know you're often at work when we're streaming at 1 p.m. I'm going to try and keep 1 p.m. as the go-to time for this daytime stream. So I appreciate that sometimes I'll set this up early in the morning and some breaking news will come out. But we can discuss that. There's going to be an evening stream, hopefully, if I can dodge the football. There's almost too much of it at the moment. Andy says if he's cheap enough, you're saying it's a bargain. Is it Premier League proven? What are people's reactions then? Because at the moment, I'm not going to be saying I'm not going to sit here and say I'm excited. It's a great deals, but I think it's just it does seem to be that maybe data and maybe stats and maybe it seems that Man United have got some sort of idea what they want. Although at the moment, I'm kind of in the same boat as a lot of people where when I saw the Fernandes, Tonali, both going to Spurs, there is a frustration that Man United are not getting deals done that quickly. I've got a bit of a frustration as well when I see loads of stories about too many and Man United looking at trying to get too many done or going to offer lots of money because I keep seeing stories saying too many doesn't want to leave Real Madrid. Mourinho wants to build around too many. All these kind of like other stories. I'm just wondering whether are Man United wasting their time with too many? Like, is this a distraction for a lot of fans? Whereas in reality, when you see things like Belieber or Santos, Alex Scott, and Ederson, these are the stories where these are the more credible deals, and this is where the deals are happening. It seems. So, so Steph said, always saying Santos over Belieber. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's what they're looking at. Because if you're looking at someone, loads of people were looking at Belieber maybe like this year. And if you want to make if you want reasons to sign Belieber, and if you want a reason why Man United might be interested in Belieber, it was primarily going to be he wins his duels, he wins the ball back, and the only question with Belieber is going to be is that is he going to be able to do it at a high enough level to take Man United, from being where we are at the moment to the next level. With Santos as well, he kind of like ticks a few boxes for Ineos, doesn't he? That he's quite young, like looking at 20, I think it's like 22. And is this going to be, like, so is this going to be an option instead of, are we looking at Santos instead of Matheus Fernandes? Is this the pivot? Like, if you're going to go from, in terms of this one, you're looking at what, if it's going to be £50 million, is that going to be a good option? Yori says he's too slow to play next to Mainu. What if he's going to play instead of Mainu? And you're looking at maybe Mainu and Ederson, or you're looking at Santos and Ederson. Again, I think what's going to be difficult at the moment is I think most people think we're going to build around Mainu. I'm kind of in the same group as well. When Man United actually signed three midfielders, is it going to then be obvious that there's going to be maybe a backup? Is this like the sort of profile that's going to be a backup to Man United, and we're going to be looking at trying to get? Like, is there any chance we're going to be trying to seriously get too many? That's one where, at the moment, I know people get excited about it, but I just can't really see. I can't see that deal happening as well. So I'll go through a few of the comments. If you got some positive comments about Santos, let me know what you're thinking as well. But Al obviously doesn't like him. Um, Lucky Singh saying that you love Sanderberg. There's nothing wrong with Sanderberg, but I would be, I don't know. I don't know if Sanderberg is the sort of player that Man United should be building around as well. Cake saying Santos, it's simple as that. Then what I'm seeing though, is there a pattern emerging in this transfer market where Manchester United's top target, we all know that it was Elliot Anderson, and Ederson is a very similar profile, but obviously a lot cheaper, less exciting. I think at the moment, if you look at the difference, Elliot Anderson's starting for England. England had just beaten Mexico in the Azteca Stadium, and you have Ederson can't get into the Brazil midfield. Brazil get humbled by Norway. I thought actually Norway controlled most of that game as well, and apart from maybe flashes from Vinicius and maybe you could say Endrick when he came on. I thought like possession, chances, like you could see. Like, I think the goalkeeper played well, obviously, but I don't think Brazil did enough to win that game. If you look at the difference in finishing, when the ball drops to Holland, Holland doesn't give the goalkeeper a chance to make the save, does he? And I think that Brazil didn't do enough either. United, so Dice says Sangare, Kone, camera all there. I know we've talked about Sangare quite a lot on this channel, and we've talked about, say, Buwadi as well. You could throw a name in there. And say, with this one, the difference with this one is when you're looking at someone like Santos, he's played in the Premier League, but it's not like he's playing in the Premier League week in, week out, is it? So I can see like there's Premier League proven, and yeah, he's played in the Premier League, but it's not like he's one of the best players. The difference between Anderson and say someone like Santos is Anderson has been doing it week in, week out, playing at high level, forcing himself into the England team alongside Bellingham and Rice, and playing very well. And the difference is going to be like Santos is a player that I think Chelsea, like, there's not, he's not a bad football player, but I think Chelsea are just seeing him as a player they can profit on, sell, make some money from. Like you're saying, it's saying you're pleased that Christopher Bell, say, is looking at, or I don't think it's necessarily Christopher Bell. I think it's the whole group. But you're saying that you're happy that this is a potential transfer window where you've got Santos, Sanderberg, Alex Scott, Ederson. That would be four midfielders, and it would be maybe some of the. If you look at Santos, Sanderberg, and Ederson, it is potentially one of the cheaper set groups of players they could have bought as well. And I think Alex Scott is one where he's the one that might cost quite a lot of money, but I'm not sure whether Man United should be spending very big money for him. Um, So Nikki says Man United flew out to Madrid to discuss Tchouameni. I know. Does anybody think Man that just a quick yes no question? I will address this as well. Quick yes no question. Do you think Man United can sign Tchouameni? Like yes or no, just quickly, because what I will do is I'll probably cover the Tchouameni situation because at the moment the transfer window's got a long way to run. We'll be looking at this one as well, and we'll look at the Tchouameni one in a bit more detail. We might be able to do a couple of streams a day now in terms of like the World Cup's calming down a little bit. So what I might do is I might do 1 p.m. and then maybe like 8 p.m. or something along those lines with guests on. And maybe too many we'll cover like maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. We'll see if there's any more information coming out. And pattern is United are broke, says JDC. Yeah, I think definitely not, definitely not. There for me, there's a clear difference, isn't there? There's a clear difference between Premier League proven. I think what you need to do is like instead of having the term Premier League proven, it should be is this player one of the best players in the Premier League? Because there's a lot of average players in the Premier League as well. You don't have to just the fact that someone's played in the Premier League. All it tells you is that if they play okay, at least you know they're going to be able to cope with the Premier League. That some players it is an issue. So I think Premier League proven is always it kind of like makes people angry because if you've got good scouts and you can identify which players have got the attributes to work in the Premier League, all it means is that the Premier League is just a bit quicker than other leagues. You just need to make decisions a little bit faster. The physicality level is going to be a bit higher. And I think scouts they know which players like we have a good idea ourselves which players are going to work. So I think Premier League proven is almost like it feels like an excuse where Ineos are just going to sign players from the Premier League, and then if they don't work out, they'll just go, well, we bought these players from the Premier League, they should work out. But quickly to talk about the Ederson medical. So all I'll say regarding this one is people got very excited. I think it was yesterday or last night about the Ederson saying Ederson deal off, Ederson deal in doubt. And I think all that's happened at the moment is he's had a medical in Brazil. I think it's in Brazil. So I think he's had part one of the medical. You've got to have another part. I think Manchester United want to have it done. I was going to say properly, but they want to have the final medical, the full checks and everything done in the UK before they sign the player. So all it is just he's had some of the medical done. You just need to do the final medical in the UK, and then I mean, if something comes up in the medical, deals can fall through, but it just doesn't happen very often, and nobody knows at the moment what's going to happen. So I think it's a little bit like there wasn't much information. There was a people were trying to find some stories, some angles to push information out. There just wasn't a lot of information regarding this one, and there shouldn't really be. Medicals are confidential, so he's had part one. He's going to have part two, and I think the deal's going to happen unless if the deal doesn't happen, it's because the medical picks something up, and for a medical reason, Manchester United think it's not a good deal to do. And if that happens, then that happens. But it's better that happens in a medical than it is for Man United to sign a player and then have issues down the line. The thing with Ederson is his medical record over the years, injuries have been absolutely fine. He's played a lot of games, a lot of minutes. He's very physical. So I don't really envisage there being a big problem. But if there is a problem, then I'm sure everybody will be well aware of it. But I think last night it was just, I don't know, it seems a bit crazy, isn't it? I mean, he's playing in the World Cup. He's not injured or anything. So I think people were looking for some drama regarding that one. But no, I don't think there's going to be anything significant as far as I can see. But again, we'll probably find out quite soon now. Brazil got knocked out. He's back, gets his medical done, and we'll see what's happening regarding that one. Be up to you, Gaz. How you doing, Gaz? I saw you in the chat about 4:15 this morning, and I was kind of actually a bit weirdly about 4 o'clock this morning. I was incredibly, incredibly alert, and then I couldn't sleep till about I don't know about 5. Um, what's Santos' injury record like? Good question, Genghis. I don't know if anybody does have any information, please share it. I only just heard about Santos yesterday, and I was busy watching some of the World Cup matches. But he just doesn't play a lot of minutes for Chelsea, so I assume it's okay. But I don't think he's more of a squad player for Chelsea. So Chelsea, what the one positive I would say is Chelsea have got obviously good midfield players. So there's a reason why first medical in New York. So there's a reason why he wasn't getting into the team. They've got good midfielders already. So United Dice says United are going to struggle with this. Players want to come to us. Does anybody really think that's sensible? Because I think with this one that obviously, if Man United are versus Spurs and they both offer the same sort of terms, they both offer the same money, then obviously the player's going to decide where he goes. But I think a lot of football players genuinely just go for the money and they go for the best. And I think if you're looking at your own personal life where you're working, if you're looking at 2 or 3 jobs and the jobs are the same and the companies are going to give you the same sort of deal, then maybe you're going to pick the one which gives you maybe the best career opportunities. And for football, the career opportunities are probably winning trophies, representing your country, and playing for elite managers. And Man United have to accept that if they want to get the best football players in the club, they're probably going to have to spend a lot of money. These players are going to cost a lot as well. You don't get the best players for cheap. Like I know a lot of people that it seems that Man United think we're going to get better football players than Man City by spending less. I don't think that's going to be possible. You can get the odd deal, but I don't think as a wholesale strategy it's going to make a lot of sense. But United Dice says United are going to struggle with this. Players want to come to us, and money talks, doesn't it? Exactly. I'm not saying Man United need to go absolutely crazy with we don't have to offer insane money, but we have to offer at least something similar to other clubs as well. So nobody wanted Ederson. Everybody was underwhelmed about signing him, and then when the signings meant to have fallen through, everyone loses their head. Make that make sense? Uh, yeah, Andy, what can I say? I don't know. I saw the news last night and I just thought it was like very funny that I don't think people are even looking into it. I think people are just looking for something that's controversial just to try and whip up people into a frenzy and just like get some views or something. It's with this one, I think there's no point in talking about this that once a player's agreed to go and you have the medical, it must be like 95% certain the player goes through. Occasionally, a medical will pull something up, but it's very rare, isn't it? I'm trying to think off the top of my head of players that have fallen through with the medicals, but I don't know. So, in the same sense, yeah, too many might be interested, but if you're going to get too many to leave a world class club like Real Madrid that have got amazing players as well. Look at Mbappe in the World Cup. Look at too many in the World Cup. I mean, they've got so many good players. I can see why they're trying to get Elise because you've got that relationship between Elise and Mbappe to many. And at the moment, some of the French players are probably some of the best players in the world. So I can see why Real Madrid would look to maybe break the bank to get Elise. But I think too many is one of the pieces you keep. I think if people look at I remember actually I posted this on social media, I think last night, and too many as a player. If you look at Mourinho, Chelsea, Makaleli, there is no way Mourinho is going to be forcing someone like too many out. He's going to be seeing too many as a key piece in his team. You could just as easily put a story out there saying Mbappe going to be forced out by Mourinho. Definitely not. Mourinho's going to be looking at too many, looking at Mbappe and thinking these are the players that are going to help me win trophies. And I think they're going to build around too many. They're probably going to be looking at other aspects of their club to strengthen, and they're going to be looking to try and maybe offload Camavinga and other players like that. But also, if Man United wanted to get too many, I don't think a lot of other channels have talked about it, but his salary is going to be phenomenal. And Man United will have to pay too many, a little bit more than Real Madrid as well, because of the tax status in the UK. Just put it that way. So it's going to come down to Man United having to pay too many. I would be very surprised if it's anything less than what we paid Casemiro. So you're going to be looking at least 300k a week, I'd have thought, for too many. And it's going to cost at least 100 million pounds. Like you don't get elite players in their prime for anything less than absolutely insane money. So So most of the wages we offered were 150k ish. No, I think there's some of the salaries Man United are offering is like for Matheus Fernandes, Ederson, so the Co-Mainoo contract extension, what we paid Mbuemo, Cunha. The thing is, when you're buying players that have been playing for Brentford, or you're looking at players playing in Serie A, or youth academy players that are going to be renewing their contract, or someone like Yoro who was on a very low contract in the French league, you're going to be able to pay them 150k, aren't you? But this is what Chelsea do. But you have to get younger and younger players. And then some people like Matheus Fernandes, Elliot Anderson, they're not taking that sort of money, so they're going to want more. So it's a difficult situation for Man United because the costs are going to have to start going up, and there's no way that, for example, if Real Madrid want to buy Elise, he might cost about 200 million pounds. He might cost that sort of money. And what sort of salary is Elise going to be on? Because it's going to be on way, way higher than any player we've been looking at for Man United this transfer window. It's going to be insane sort of money. So I think this one, if you want to get elite players in to change your team, you're going to have to pay elite salaries. There's literally no way around it. So if too many is going to like be leaving Real Madrid, I'm not saying he's going to get a big pay rise. Let's say deep dived into tax in Spain and Madrid. Say there's nothing other than Mbappe's law and that evaluate. I think with Mbappe's law, one of the things that is a bit different in I think Spanish law as well, that I think you can have image rights taxed differently as well. But I think Real Madrid, they definitely you can get local tax reduced by about 20%. So say 208k here is the same as his take home for what he gets in Madrid. Do you think also Do you think too many has any interest in leaving Madrid? Because I'd be surprised if you consider the contract that too many's on, he must have signed that about 2 to 3 years ago. Since then, he's improved a lot as a football player. So I'd be expecting that in the same way that any football player Man United get at say age 21, 22, when they get to mid 20s, like Tonali, for example, and like a few other players, they're going to be wanting a bigger contract. So I would not be surprised if Real Madrid had got a contract offer on the table for too many. If I was too many, I wouldn't be saying too much. I would just be waiting for those numbers to increase because they surely are going to increase. But I think it's going to be definitely it's going to be the high end of the budget. So we would need to pay around 275 to lure him, but there are workaround for that. I would think with this one, the only way I could see too many being feasible is if Manchester United look at the transfer window and go, right, we got Ederson, who's cheaper than Anderson. We get Santos in, who's obviously going to be a cheaper option than a few players we looked at. And maybe the plan was going to be to try and get too many. I think the plan was always maybe to try and get too many. But we were looking at Elliot Anderson and Matheus Fernandes. If you look at that in terms of financially, there is literally no way. Like, what team's going to afford Anderson, Matheus Fernandes, and too many? You're looking at about 300 million pounds for three players. So I think that was going to be impossible for Man United. But maybe financially, if it was 100 million and you're looking at two other cheap deals, I think the idea is going to be that you spend 100 million, you get too many, you get Santos for about 50, you get Ederson for like 35, and then maybe you spend 185 roughly about 60 to 65 million pounds per player, which is not that dissimilar to what we did last season. The only suppose the compromise is going to be that in order to get too many, you have to spend a lot less on the other targets. So I don't know whether fans would be happy with that. It still feels for me, it just feels a bit unrealistic. But if I was looking at it, I was thinking, who is your agent? If you want to get a new contract, this is the perfect window as well. So too many's agent might be driving up his price. To us, I haven't really heard too much from too many's agent, but I don't know. So yeah, if Felice goes, I have seen something actually as well. Yeah, it could be a distraction, Bilal. I'm just going to leave the Santos picture on. It could be a distraction. I think if Man United are seriously interested in Santos, the same way as if Man United are interested in Alex Scott, I think United need to get the second midfield player signed now. I think we had actually had confirmation now that Tonali has completed his medical, so I think we're going to have Spurs, in the time that Man United have got, say, Ederson between the first medical and the second medical, Spurs have already got Tonali, they've already got Matheus Fernandes. So I'm not saying that Man United should have outbid Spurs. I'm just saying that the time is now to get the second signing in because we do need to get some midfielders for the pre-season tour, and we do need to get like some. We can't just have academy players in pre-season. We need to get some first team players in this one. But maybe if Elise goes for 200 million, I think that the cycle's already there, isn't it? I'm seeing stories where Real Madrid say they want Elise for 200 million pounds, and the response from Bayern Munich is that's not enough. So some of these bigger clubs, if you're looking at the World Cup now, you got Mbappe, you got Holland, you got Elise. That some of these are the very elite, like the best players in the competition. If you sell Elise, who do you replace him with? You literally just have to get a worse player. So I can see why it's possible that Bayern Munich might turn down one of the biggest offers in world football for a player because they just don't think it's worth selling the best players. Like you can't. Yeah, I just don't think Real Madrid. Right, they can spend 200 million pounds, but I don't think if you give Bayern Munich 200 million pounds, I'm not sure if they can buy a football player that's actually better than Elise at the moment. So it seems crazy money, but it might happen. Maybe they go for Rashford. They could go for Rashford. I would say when we're talking about players last night and this morning, I think Anthony Gordon has maybe won a few friends that I did say that given what I saw last night, Anthony Gordon was exceptional. Like it's a combination for me of last night Anthony Gordon was carrying the threat in the first sort of like 30 minutes, and then when England went down to 10 men, I thought that Anthony Gordon's defensive work was nothing short of excellent. So I can see why that. I don't think he's played that well for Newcastle, but I'll say that I did say I think I might have got it wrong on Gordon. He's not necessarily generating, I suppose, goals, assists, and things, but he was causing massive problems as well. So preseason starts on Thursday. Clock's ticking, isn't it? The workaround is giving 200k a week, then giving 15 million signing on bonus, amortized over 5 years, which gives them an extra 75k a week for 5 years. Maybe. Do you think Man United have been thinking about this as well? That it's like, and I said that Man United have got to go Godfather on this. You've almost got to make him an offer he can't refuse. I mean, 15 million bonus is going to be probably in line with that. The only issue I've got is that I'm not sure if Man United can give too many an offer that he prefers over Real Madrid sort of offer. And I think the worry I've got is I'm a Man United fan, but even I'm struggling to find a scenario where too many thinks it's better to come to Manchester than stay at Madrid. I think Mourinho going there, you're going to see an improvement in how the team's organised, and I think we're going to be seeing like at the moment, if they could get someone like Elise, I think Real Madrid are going to be a serious team quite soon. Nicky said, is Santos a Belieber replacement? He, I suppose possibly you could probably look at it. I would say for me, is Santos not going to be considered? more of a what's the best way? But if Man United had the targets of Anderson, and I think that Ederson might be an Anderson replacement. Do you think that like Believer could be a Santos replacement? Is he going to be more Matheus Fernandes replacement or a Tonali replacement? I don't know. I think he's just a different option, isn't he? And maybe it feels like Man United are weighing up loads of options that they can sign if they can't get their main target. So it could be at the moment. I don't know if anyone's seen anything about Santos apart from everything coming out yesterday. I don't think that Man United are going to be. We're not going to be hearing. We're definitely not going to be hearing stories of Chelsea saying we value Santos at 85 million, are we? So I think Chelsea would be happy to take a decent profit from this one as well. Yeah, I was going to make a joke about Henderson, but then I saw the clip, and yeah, I don't know if you've seen the clip. Then yeah, it looks really really bad. I don't know if there's any stories about Henderson, but and yeah, I don't think we should. I don't think we should have taken Henderson, but yeah, that looked. It looked really bad, didn't it? I saw it in real time. I didn't want to watch it again. It didn't look good. I don't think that's. It's. It looks like it's going to be. Um, it looked like quite a serious break, actually. I don't know what people saw. I don't know if there's much about this one, but it looked like pretty serious break from Henderson. So I'm guessing he's definitely out for the rest of the tournament. From what I saw, I mean, I just saw that and thought, wow. Freak accidents do happen though. It's just pretty. It's just one of those things where when I saw the clip, I just thought, what's he done? And when I saw it, I was just thinking, I don't know. It's not the worst thing I've seen in real life, but it looked it looked pretty bad for him. Big up to you, Kazi. Hope you're good. Mark says panic buys. Here we go. People at the start of the stream, I shared a couple of bits of data on kind of what the players do, just to see what people think. I know that Santos doesn't play as many minutes as too many, but just a quick for people that missed it out. This is Santos and too many. Pretty similar. If you just look at the profile, pretty similar. So there's reasons why Man United are looking at him, but again, the data doesn't tell you everything. The eye test tells you that too many is a far superior player. And if you're looking at stepping up in level, I mean, we're looking at Santos. I'm thinking, okay, you do it in limited minutes in the Premier League, but we're looking at too many. Too many's doing that in the World Cup. Too many does that in the Champions League. That's the difference, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, Alex said, well, I think Jordan Henderson was always going to be like playing like hardly anything at all. So at the moment, I think Anderson, like, I think Tuchel's got his first 11 sorted out. Maybe it depends on how the game goes. Maybe something could happen regarding like, I think with Mainu getting minutes, I'm just trying to think of a situation where they had to have a lot of intensity last night against Mexico. I did think that maybe Mainu would come on at some point because altitude, but I think England players just managed to do it for most of the match. I think 11v11 England would have actually won that game more comfortably. And I was looking at it thinking the game felt like it was going to be going 3-1 before the red card, and maybe we see a different sort of game. Maynard might get minutes. I'm just wondering what sort of scenario Tuchel's got. I'm just wondering whether against Norway are they going to see Maynard playing at all. I think we're going to see the same exact same lineup, and we're not going to be seeing too much deviation. I think with Tuchel, he's got something that seems to be working. And Elizabeth says too many is more the reality. Say 20% assets bought in Madrid expires in 2028. However, the UK will give him the same tax break when he arrives in the UK and buys UK assets. Maybe with this one, I think if you're looking at, but let's be honest as well, Man United have got the Glazers, they've got Ineos. If they want to find someone that knows how to get around certain financial rules, then it's going to be those guys, isn't it? So if they want to find a way of making the too many deal work, I'm sure they're capable of doing it. I mean, Man United have been gradually reducing the wage bill, etc., etc. So they got the money to spend. But for me, it's going to be big up to you, Malps. I know I saw a bigger channel talking about this in terms of like it's going to happen. I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but we will talk about it. and we will look at this one as well. Which are the sort? Just a quick question: people that are talking about the sources, are they credible sources, or are they sources where you think it's not going to happen? Like, Yari, do you believe the sources at all? Like, just let me know because I think I saw it and it was maybe some Madrid kind of sorts, but I still think at the moment, yeah. Maybe we'll do a call-in show, and so I was thinking that haven't done a call-in show. I might have a look at the games when the games kick off tonight, and maybe we can do something between those games if it's possible. I think last night it was just impossible to do it time-wise. So not in favour of getting Santos for 50 million, says Agile Beast. I'll be at you, Agile. Hope you're good, mate. So no, I think it's at the moment 50 million is kind of the expected price. I did think I'll put up on the comments see what people are thinking. At the moment, it's kind of 60-40 against Santos, which I kind of thought it might be like that. So it's still kind of not far off 50-50, is it? But Genghis is saying United have shown interest in Santos previously, so it's not really a panic buy. Recruitment team obviously value him. I think Santos is going to be. I've definitely seen information about Santos going back maybe it's probably months rather than years, but it was never the most exciting target, and there seems to be that it wasn't kind of there was a lot of other things that seemed more likely at the time. And I think this was just where there is some interest, obviously, but Man United are interested in so many football players that we can't cover them all. So there was definitely some interest, but I think people looked at it and thought, yeah, there's more likely signings to be honest. No, Santos isn't injury prone. Um, yeah, Yari's saying that I can't put. Let's find the comment. They're saying that people watching, if I guess that most people here will watch lots of other sources as well. And again, make your own opinions about what you think is going to be likely. Yari's saying that the sources that are reporting that Man United have gone to Madrid to look at the too many deal have not been right about other things this window as well. So you think it's like clickbait, and it might well be. I think with if I do a call-in show, then maybe this will I'll give an opportunity for fans to come on and have their say because I think everyone's going to have a different view on this. But I remember at the start of the transfer window, I thought Matheus Flanders was going to be a done deal. I really did. I think a month ago, I thought Man United were going to be signing Matheus Flanders as their second deal, and it didn't work out. And I was surprised. I was more surprised that Matheus Flanders decided to go to Spurs than I was. I didn't think Man United would meet the valuation of West Ham. I was just more surprised that Matheus Fernandes decided to go to Spurs. So it just shows you no one knows exactly what's going to happen. Cheap panic buys, says D Hex. So Glazers and Ineos are gaslighting us. Again, I think there's going to be also a combination of people that some people watching will be very happy with like some of the players linked. Some are going to be not happy at all. If I mention any sort of player or any sort of story, it's going to ultimately divide opinion. Big up to you, Gray. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well, my friend. It's been too long, Gray. Hope you're keeping well, mate. Have you changed your account? So MUFC, so CD, MUFC debate. Sorry, the letters were a bit obscured there. Big up to you, Gray. Good to see you. How are you feeling about Ineos? I'm kind of I've started on a situation. I'm quite distrusting about Jim Radcliffe and Ineos overall, but I'm not. Obviously, I'm not having complete meltdown because nothing's actually happened yet. I mean, I was disappointed that Man United didn't get certain targets or seem to be wasting time on Matheus Fernandes, where I think an offer should have gone in certainly a bit earlier. My kind of thoughts at the moment are I think Man United, in terms of like Ineos, Glazers, I think they might have underestimated just how much players were going to cost. And so what I'll do is, if you want to vote in the poll, I'll close that at the end. But it is close to 60-40. I think at the moment, anybody that thinks that Man United have got a clear plan, then please share it with the rest of us. And will I take John Stones on a free? Um, I probably wouldn't take John Stones if he was free. Is that one way of putting it? John Stones has like barely started any matches this season, and I think with this one, John Stones is so injury prone that Man City content creators were saying get rid of him last season. I don't think Man United should be taking an injury prone player on as well. As Don in Spain says exactly the same thing, be up to John. So for me, I wouldn't be taking him on a free. He just doesn't. He just didn't start any sort of games at all, did he? So I think we should be moving on injury prone players rather than like taking them off City's hands. Just a quick question then, Gray. Are you on any other social media platforms? If you want to message me, get in the Discord. But also, sorry to hear about. Well, that sounds pretty dreadful, doesn't it? Yeah, sorry to hear about that. Great. Kate says we're a small club. We need to accept that and move on. Okay, Manchester United are not a small club. We've got terrible owners that I don't know what to. It feels like Man United is being run like what's the word? Like Manchester United probably has the second or third highest turnover in at least like maybe not Europe, but you got Real Madrid, you've got potentially one or two clubs in the Premier League because Man United missed out on European football. We're one of the bigger clubs in the world, so I just feel frustrating, like really frustrating, that Man United is not being. I'm not going to use the cliche run like a big club. Man United's a big club. Manchester United needs to be run by people that know what they're doing is the main thing, and also people that are. I just want to get an owner that wants to win. That's the basic requirement. If I get an owner that sees Manchester United as a cash cow or sees Manchester United transfers as a way of reducing the wage bill, asset stripping the club, I'm getting a bit concerned. But there, for me, there's definitely some issues there. A nice one. I'll follow you back. As Kate says, we haven't learned anything from the Mason Mount deal. Are people going to be okay? Do I think signing a Chelsea squad player is something big clubs do? No, Cake. But I think what I'm saying here is that because you think Man United are making bad decisions, it doesn't mean that Manchester United is not a big club. Like Manchester United is clearly a big football club, but it's not been run very well. Yeah, no, unfortunately, their owners are terrible. Forever says we're like Ferrari, used to be great, full of heritage, struggled for years, but clawing our way back. Maybe, maybe we're doing this as well. Big Dog says, where's the Night 59 at? Or do they only start protests when their bosses at Glinios allow them to do a protest or let the fans have their day? Then it all goes quiet around Groundhog Day, says the Big Dog. Yeah, 1958. Yeah, to be honest, yeah, a lot of people, a lot of it's gone quiet. I think with this one, I think Gaz has kind of hit the nail on the head here. Big club, small ambition. For small ambition, I think we got owners that are motivated by the wrong things overall. And what would be? Do you know what I was going to say that you know how we do a lot of streams on a daily basis? Are people interested in the call-in show to come on, have your say on how the transfer window is going as a whole? Because at the moment, I did say that like the World Cup has been so busy. There's so many streams, so many matches on, but now the World Cup's starting to not wind down, but the World Cup's starting to get not quite as busy. There's going to be, and it's been a bit of a distraction, I think, for a lot of people. But would you be interested in having more call-in shows? Maybe one every few days, where maybe like 7 or 8 p.m. at night. So I don't know what's a good time. So I think this sort of time of the day probably isn't great because most people are at work or watching. on lunch hour or something, but maybe an evening stream. I'll just dodge the football matches, put the link in the comments, and people can come on and have their say. So I think at the moment there's a lot of different, a lot of people are, to be honest, I think that the fan base is probably more polarized than ever between some people that are relaxed and calm, which, to be honest, I'm seeing a bit less of recently. And I don't know whether I'm considered calm or because I don't really feel calm at the moment. I'm feeling a bit agitated by what's happening at the club because at the moment, as people say, you can have this excuse about when you're signing players, etc., and then what you're looking at is Spurs have signed about six players. So Spurs are going to have a pre-season where the new signings come in, and isn't this like this isn't about big club or small club? This is just about a sensible club. I was talking to someone on the weekend that supports a non-league club. They've already done their deals in, so they already know their signings. So non-league clubs about to start pre-season, they've got their signings done. Man United, every single season, we don't get signings done early. I mean, it's not about whether Man United get Santos or too many or Fernandez or yeah. But the question is like, why do these signings get done so late in the window that it's going to make it difficult for Michael Carrick to have a proper preseason. Man United are going to effectively have a few matches at the start of the season where they're still working things out, and it's just making it more difficult, isn't it? It's just a bit frustrating as well. I'll big up to you, Stu. Good to see you, my friend. Says 50 million Santos is daylight robbery. He costs. This is what I was going to say with this one. This is kind of the perfect sort of deal from a Chelsea perspective because Chelsea can't sell Gittins or Garnacho for a profit because they've been dreadful. Santos was a cheap buy. He hasn't done loads for a few years, but Chelsea would certainly be looking to flip him and make some profit. So this is kind of Chelsea's model, isn't it? So Chelsea every single season they sell a couple of players that aren't really the bigger players, and they sell them for a profit. And so I don't know. I would say at the moment, considering the transfer window's gone a bit crazy, then I don't know whether 50 million is like I don't know how much he should cost at the moment. He's 22 years old. I'd imagine that he would be. Yeah, give me a second. Well, he would be. So but I think 25 million is probably a bit cheap. I think you got players in the championship that cost about 20, 25, 30 million. But I would say 50 million. When we're talking about Alex Scott a month ago, we were throwing around 50 million. And when you're looking at how much did like Luca Paqueta went for about 45, you got Strand Larson went for about 45, didn't he? And you got players that are established Premier League players, maybe the best at some of the mid-table teams, and they were going for about 45 million. So I think 50 million pounds feels too expensive. Maybe you're looking at I don't know how much it would be, but maybe like 30 might be a bit cheap considering championship prices. I reckon like 35, 40 is like, but because it's Chelsea and because it's Man United, I think it's just, unfortunately, I can see it not going the way we want it. So let me close the poll on, yeah, Alex says Cake's meltdowns are iconic. That if I do calling shows, it's there for everybody. And just as long as people respect other people who've got different views, it'll be fine. But I think it might be quite good to do more just to get. Again, I was thinking if I do a more regular calling show, it would be like maybe like 60-minute show, so it wouldn't be particularly long. And so, why do clubs take so? Say, can you curse? You can curse within limits, I would say. So let me just put this in the chat. So what I would say is, if you want to make an argument and you're angry about Ineos, I think a lot of people are angry. Then if you want to come on just as a forum to shout and swear, I think it loses the impact. I think if you can, if you're more what's the word? I think if you describe what you're feeling a bit more rather than just shouting and ranting, people will probably take it more seriously as well. But no, it's like I don't think anyone's offended by swearing, but I think if you're looking at this one, So just a quick question from Cake, and I did say that for me, Cake, I'm not by any way advocating Man United spending big money, but if you want to look at some data, I know you seem to be interested in data recently. I put this on the screen about 4 or 5 times during the stream. This is a comparison of too many and Santos. And I think the things that Man United like about Santos are the same reasons they like too many. But you're probably looking at a player that's going to cost half as much. So I'll just take that off the screen. But you can just like look at it and say, if you want to know what Santos is good at, look at too many. And he wins his duels, he completes his passes, he passes forward. But the only difference is going to be that Santos is very much on the periphery of Chelsea's team, whereas too many does that against the elite teams in Europe. So Santos has got something, but I don't think it's as much as like it's clearly he's clearly nowhere near as good as too many, but he is like 3 or 4 years younger. So I can see why Man United value him. And it's weird how when we looked at loads and loads of different players, when we look at loads and loads of different players, player profiles are always a bit different. I think Santos and Tchouaméni weirdly are very, very similar. So, but again, it's that's the stat based of it. The eye test tells you that Tchouaméni is a world class player though, and Santos has potential at the moment, but he's going to be significantly cheaper, isn't he? And maybe with Santos and like Santos, Matheus Fernandes, maybe someone like Alex Scott. These are the sort of players and Hayden Hackney that in a couple of years' time they might be quite highly valued, but it's going to make it a bit more difficult in the short term. Stu, yes, Stu. I think Man United fans. Do you know what the thing is? I did a stream about. It might have been the day after Matheus Fernandes got announced with Spurs and the Tonali with Spurs, and I think I kind of hit the wall because I did a stream. I was pretty annoyed, and it wasn't it wasn't the what's the word? It wasn't the best stream in terms of like I was just angry with a lot of things. And I think everybody hits the wall at a different time. Some people are patient. Some people you lose patience with one or two things, don't you? And I think the overwhelming frustration with me was that I just wonder whether our club trajectory is just in the shadow of Man City. That they're doing all the bigger deals, they're getting better players in, and it's a real stretch to imagine Manchester United's current strategy actually like suddenly transforming the team. So I don't know. I don't know. And we're just buying Brazilian players. Um, we're just buying players that are. Do you know what it feels a bit like? It feels a little bit like Arsene Wenger when Arsene Wenger and Arsenal got a new stadium. They started buying people like I'm trying to think. They got Fabregas, they got Van Persie, they got all these players though, but they got them very young. And I'm trying to think who else they got. They got one of the guys that went to Man City. I can't remember his name now, but they bought probably about 5 6 players. And the thing that happened was Arsenal built a team for the future, but the problem is Fabregas, when he became a quality player, he just jumped ship. When Van Persie wanted to win a trophy, he just jumped ship. So the problem is, if you're going to buy all these younger players, you've got to keep them all for a few years before you realise that whether they're good enough or not. And it is quite risky. So there is potential that Man United, if we start replacing Casemiro with Santos and we replace other targets with younger players, it's like Dorgu. They might be good in like a year, 2 years' time, but there might be a bit of a learning process for some of these players. So I think it's a bit, for me, a bit concerning as well. That's why you should call in, Cake. That's why you should call in. Like autocorrect in the chat, jump on as well. I mean, I don't mind. We got Matheus Cunha. I don't mind Brazilian players. I mean, I don't think we've got an allocation we need to fill. But when we're trying to replace Casemiro, we don't need to get just just a Brazilian. Uh, please vote in the poll as well. It changes the words. Maybe AI is taken over. Cake. It's trying to maybe it's been hacked by the Glazers as well. I need to chill out. Do I need to chill out? Yeah, you should come on to a corner show it sometimes, Andy. And Gray's in disguise today. But no, sometimes I look at the comments and it changes a few things, and I just think, what are people on about? But then it actually sometimes it autocorrects to crazy stuff. Debassa says Timu too many with Timu warranty. I mean, hopefully he lasts a bit longer than Mason Mount. I don't know who Mason Mount was supposed to be, but he didn't work out too well either, did it? Um, so no, but I will try and do more regular calling shows. So every two. Other question then. I think most people, I can tell from the analytics behind the scenes that most people are generally UK based in the chat, like about 60%. But question, if I do a calling show, then is there a best time to do it? Like 7 p.m., 8 p.m.? Because calling shows don't require much prep. I just make a thumbnail, drop the link in the chat. The only thing, it is a bit of a struggle if people don't come on. So if you want to get involved in the calling show, I'm happy to do them like almost like on a daily basis, but people have to come on. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit tricky to just sit here and say the same things all day, every day. Oh, no worries. No worries. To be honest, at the moment, then if you're new, any accounts that subscribe is always going to help. Cody says this Santos news just came out dominating the headlines. I know at the moment, so based on this channel and Manchester United fans, it's 60-40 in favour of Manchester United, Santos, £50 million. 60% of people watching today say not a good deal for Man United. Say not a good deal. Maybe if I do a stream tonight, then I'll have a look when the games are. But maybe we can do like a call-in show and look at maybe the Santos too many and a few different things as well. So I think that these stories are going to run and run, aren't they? So at the moment, unfortunately, for Man United fans, there's not loads of genuinely breaking news out there and say, I've seen Santos in Strasbourg, he was good. Yeah, to be honest, actually, Debassis, if you look at the data, like I know people are not going to be happy. I think people are just going to be genuinely a bit annoyed with Man United for not signing players. And I think at the moment, if Man United had signed Matheus Fernandes, or if Man United had signed Alex Scott or anybody else, I think at least we'd look at it and go, right, we're getting our players in. Because the concern I've got is at the moment, pre-season is going to be essentially like an academy day out, and Man United are going to be making Michael Carrick's job more difficult than it needs to be. That's the concern I've got. But what I'll do is for people that are supporting the channel, I have got channel links pinned in the Discord as well. And if you're interested in joining the calling show, as that everything there's nothing off limit. Obviously, going very, very offensive swearing is not desirable because it obviously affects the channel negatively. But there's no limit on. There's no what's the word? You don't have to come on and be positive. If you think that the club is run by idiots, you're right. If you think the Glazers and Jim can't be trusted, you're probably right. So again, I think it's going to be have a more debate as well. Yeah, Cake, you should come on, mate. You should come on. But what I'll do is I might post a couple of things on the channel page itself under posts and just pick some times to go right. If people want to come on for like 7 p.m., 8 p.m., I appreciate there's a lot of other YouTube channels streaming at different times, and it might be that you're a moderator on that channel, you might not be available. But I'll try and like pick a time that once the World Cup calms down a bit, we'll be able to do this as well. But just take a message to people watching Manchester United, Ederson, medical is expected. That deal is expected to go through. I don't have any significant concerns regarding this one. I think Ederson will be a Man United player, unless, of course, there's something in his medical which means we shouldn't sign him. And I think that the Santos deal, let's just see what happens with this one. I don't think he's a top priority for Man United, but it might be a case of like, is Santos the backup for too many? If too many is unrealistic, which seems to be the case, I think. But in terms of that, guys, also thank you for watching the watch longs hosted by G Wolf. He's been having fun doing them. And cheers to everybody that was in the chat about 4:15 this morning. I got very, very little sleep, but it was worth it. I thoroughly enjoyed the match last night. Absolutely insane match. I did think at the point in time when it was about 4 o'clock or like 10 to 4, and England were really, really hanging on. I was thinking I genuinely hope that I haven't stayed up till like the middle of the whole night to watch England bottle it near the end. I was actually one of the big concerns I was thinking was if it had gone to extra time, I was thinking another 35 minutes or so because of all the added on time and then penalties. We might have never gone to sleep at all. It might be like 5 in the morning. But also, big shout out to to Gray and Stu. Good to see you legends back in the chat as well. And everybody else that's been supporting the channel, massive thanks to you legends as well. I took a few days off because I had family visiting as well. Cool. Almost went a bit Harry Kane then. So anyway, one thing, if you stream too long, your voice goes, like if you play at altitude, like Harry Kane's voice. So I don't want to do it any more Harry Kane impersonations. So I'm going to call it a day. But I will look at trying to do a stream tonight. If you want to come on and have your say, because we couldn't do the calling show tomorrow, I will try and schedule one of those this evening if possible. But also, guys, thanks for watching the channel. Thanks for sharing if you do, and we'll catch you in the next one.